So welcome, and I will hand it over to you.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Roberts, and I am an instructor at Tarleton in the School of Kinesiology in the Department of Health Sciences, the College of Health Sciences. And I'm also a fieldwork coordinator, and so I coordinate all of our external internships. And this is my partner.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Nelson. I'm a senior instructor in the College of Health Sciences and the coordinator of clinical education for the Master of Science in Athletic Training program.
All right, so today we're going to talk to you guys about how we took a course assignment and created a student-led OER. And to tell you a little bit about our university to start with, Tarleton State University is in rural Texas. It is about 70 miles southwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so we are very rurally located, but we are also over 50% first generation and college students. And so one of the major initiatives of our university, and one of the things that our university thinks is extremely important, is the access and affordability of college to especially our first generation students. So when we created a course that was going to use open education resources and be affordable for our students, we had created an assignment that would flip the classroom. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk to you about today. I want to first start by showing you a video about our university's initiatives toward affordable course materials.
Affordable course materials are set up to help decrease the cost of education for students. It shouldn't be a deterrent to learn.
The course materials in the textbook lagged behind being up to date for when they apply for graduate schools and having had the hands-on experience. For me, that's more important than them carrying around a textbook.
Check your classes. Are you using the textbook that you recommend and require? If you're not, consider the list of which you're putting out to the students. And I think that's an easy step one.
This generation is more tech savvy than the last, and the next will be even more tech savvy.
I grasp it more when it's like a video or like we actually do it like in the class.
One of the things that we wanted to incorporate was making sure that we were teaching students how to seek good resources. We know that that's a lifelong skill.
We really do want our students, all of our students, to succeed, regardless of their means, regardless of their resources. They're here, we want them to be here, we want them to be successful.
We've got some really great students here at Tarleton that are wanting to be innovative thinkers, and I think if we model it, they will follow.
We're still telling them, you still have to seek information, you still need to read, you need to be prepared for class, but you don't have to spend money to do it. That then should encourage students to take the classes that they want to take, the classes they need to take, and not be concerned that they can't afford it. That's what Tarleton is about. Sometimes you'll have to pay for a textbook, but let's do it just when you have to, not for every single course, just because that's the way it's always been done.
We were able to take this initiative that our university pushed out, and we created our therapeutic exercise class to be open education resources and affordable for our students. So some of the learning outcomes in this course are to identify and describe theory of rehab, definitely use professional terminology and accurate documentation, demonstrate the exercises and rehab techniques, and then formulate and instruct our students on other students on how to do some of the exercises as well. And so we took an assignment that we created and put more emphasis on it throughout the course of the semester. And hopefully you can take some of these ideas that we're going to describe today and apply it to your course or to your discipline.
So we started with an idea to kind of flip the classroom and have the students create a lot of their own material. So we kind of start by demonstrating and resourcing that material with them. And then we have them create their own patient And then they will create a rehabilitation plan on that. So there is no textbook required for our course, or our courses, but it really allows us an opportunity to keep our students up with the advancements in science and in medicine. It allows them to search and customize their own content and then be able to demonstrate that to the rest of the class.
So here is the assignment that we based this course flip over, and you can kind of see on the right-hand side of the screen, these are actual demonstrations of our classes completing this assignment in multiple different ways, and you can see some fun things are happening, but they are told to create a rehab plan for a specific injury, and they get to choose it. So they automatically have buy-in because it is something that is important to them. A lot of our students, it may be something that they personally experienced, or that they have a family member who's experiencing it, or something that's just extremely interesting to them. So they get to choose that, and that automatically helps them do more research and get more interested and look at more things online and figure out how they can be successful in a rehab plan for this. They create patient-specific goals, and the research portion of this class is extremely important to creating those patient-specific goals, since they aren't actually performing rehab for an actual patient. It's one that they create. It is important that they use up-to-date research, things that have been done in the past, things that are evidence-based practice. And in order to do that, they need to do the research. They then demonstrate this plan and instruct this plan to their classmates. And as you can see, some of those exercises are being done in those photos, and they teach their classmates how to do this. So by the end of the semester, the class will have seen upwards of 30 different rehabilitation plans. We tell them to be creative. We tell them to look at social media. They are already extremely proficient at looking at things on social media, so let's use it to our advantage. We ask them to think outside of the box and look at clinics that do evidence-based practice-based clinics that are housed with actual DPTs and masters of PTs. So we also ask them to design a progression for a patient, meaning that if they're doing really well, something that they can move on to. And what happens if they don't do very well? What happens if they further hurt themselves, or maybe they just don't move as fast as they should? And so some of these things are things that they don't normally think about. And because of doing research in the open education world, they are able to be exposed to it.
So then we take everything that the students submit. They will demonstrate their stuff, but the resources that they found, we compile those together, just the resources, not their write-up, not their actual work. But we find that by sharing the resources that they've sought out, it is then combined together in one PDF and distributed to all of the students in the course. And so if each student at minimum had 3 different resources, now the 30 students in the class have everybody. So they leave our course with a large compilation of resources for building rehab programs in the future. And our students are interested in physical therapy, athletic training, occupational therapy, physician assistant medicine, chiropractic care, coaching, you name it. We have quite the variety, but they've learned how to do and seek resources, and then they've learned how to share those resources. We do the work on combining it together to republish it back to them so that they take something with them. But they had to go seek those sources, and we find that to be a really important skill. When they leave our classroom, that's what they'll be required to do in graduate programs, and that's what they will be required to do in the professional setting, is to continuously look up current evidence-based practice medicine and make sure that they're following along with set protocols and keeping up with the times, really. So they need to cite their sources, and then they're on top of writing and presenting those on the back end But really, I think what we're most excited about is that our students have learned how to find current evidence-based practice materials and then work together and share them with one another.
And I think this generation is extremely excited about using technology to their advantage. And so obviously not having to carry an expensive textbook, purchase an expensive textbook, but ultimately at the time that it's published, it's already a little bit out of date. Especially in the world of medicine. And it doesn't include all of the possible creative ideas that they could come up with. And so they're able to walk away with a really valuable experience and a way to continue to look up resources in the future. And we find that to be extremely helpful to them. Here are some of the things that our students have said over the course of we've spent about 18 months now since we have started this process. So we've had two long full semesters and are in our third full semester of instituting this OER and affordable course materials. And so we learn something new every time, but this is some of the student feedback, some things that they said contributed to their learning. One of the things that we're especially proud of is on the fourth bullet point. It says that when we learn something new, we always did the exercise. We researched some part of the material and found examples ourselves, which helped this particular student comprehend the material more. And so it is very much the see one, do one, teach one model, which is what is science and what is medicine. To be able to see it, demonstrate it. We demonstrate things for them. Our classes are constantly up and down and moving and doing different things, learning different skills. But then they have to culminate all of that into their major course assignment. And then they teach it to everyone. And so we've realized that is actually something that has helped them to comprehend the material, retain the material, be more in depth and informative in a small amount of time. The formatting and all of those things is what they said highlighted the aspects to help them learn a little bit more about the course and to think outside the box and to be creative and be innovative, like we said in the video. They will do it if we model it. And so that's what we have really thrusted ourselves into is out of our comfort zone with not using a textbook and not using all of those things that we relied on essentially in being creative. And, there have definitely been moments in the class where we were like, well, you know what, that didn't really work out well. So we'll try this a different way. And I think that when they see that, they appreciate that. You have anything to add that?
No, I think that covered it.
Okay. All right, so I think we've got a few minutes for questions, a little bit more than I thought we would, but we went through that pretty quickly, but wanted to ask you guys if y'all had any questions and also to see if this is something that you thought that you could, implement in your classroom. Ours is science and medicine based, but I think that this very easily could be adapted and formatted to really any discipline. And like we said in the video, take a look at how much you're truly relying on the textbook and how much you're actually supplementing anyway. And so we discovered through this that we were really supplementing quite a bit, and no longer saw a need for a textbook and took advantage of that. So if anybody has any questions.
It's Sue in the chat.
You do have a couple of questions in the chat.
Yes, it's definitely a great way to get the students more engaged. They will they will engage if you force them to. And so at the beginning of the semester, it's usually a little uncomfortable for them and they tend to be a little more shy. But I think as the semester goes, they open up quite a bit. Don't you feel like?
Yes, I mean, we're working them towards the end. Each of them will complete a 20-minute presentation. So when you tell a student on the first day of class, they will have a 20-minute presentation. It's complete panic. We kind of have to guard the door. But then we really work on kind of easing them into that. And it's not a traditional presentation. They're really acting like a clinician. And so they really do open up and kind of figure out what we're really hoping for. Our next question asks if they're able to find reliable, openly licensed materials. Yes, and we work on that. Both of us in our sections work on really kind of stepping them through that process in the beginning of how we find those materials and then where they can seek to go look for them on their own. They'll even kind of come into class. I've done it a few times where we have a few minutes during the class time to say, all right, use this time right now, find a few and let me check. Did you find a reliable resource? Can you cite it? In rehab and in rehabilitation protocols, those are usually very published and open and available to anyone. So we're kind of helping them understand you're going to come across all sorts of stuff that you weren't exposed to during your education, but there is material there. Go find it. And so that's really helped our students a lot. So we haven't had trouble with not finding enough.
Some of the feedback we have also gotten from students is that after they leave this class and do these projects, when they go to their internships and are asked to observe and help assist in clinics with actual patients, our students are eager and willing and ready to work with those patients. And they're able to take instruction from the physical therapist or the occupational therapist or the chiropractor, whatever the medical field that they are observing in. They're able to take the direction from the licensed healthcare professional and apply what they have been asked to apply and have seen it before. So they feel confident in applying that material. And this is even prior to graduate school. Does anybody have any other questions?
Can you scroll down?
Are you able to collect the data on the long-term students and or receive feedback from the project? And maybe a great idea, collect it. Yes, that is one of the things that we are struggling to figure out how to do that. We do collect pretty frequently. We collect the soft data as to who gets into graduate school. That we are confident about. What we have not finished is following them through their entire career to graduation from that graduate program. So we have immediate feedback from when they leave us and enter into their graduate programs, but we tend to fall off after that. And so that is a challenge for us, isn't it?
Yes, and it will hopefully get better. I just kind of wrote that down. That'd be a really neat idea for us to do, see if we could kind of follow along what was the impact of this, especially through graduate and professional programs. Hopefully that gets easier. We are opening soon 3 new professional healthcare programs in physical therapy, occupational therapy, and physician assistant medicine on campus. And so we're hoping that our undergraduate students are well prepared. And I think that would be a really great thing for us to look at, to see the impact of some of these things long-term. Does anybody have any questions or ideas on how you might be able to turn an assignment into an OER or affordable course material?
And we think of ideas quite often, and think of new ways to do things quite often. And so I think each semester we take something from what a student says or what worked in her class that she tried, and and we try to work on it together. We are the only two on this campus who teach this course right now. And so it's very easy for the two of us to ask each other feedback based on our courses. And we've been known to slip into each other's classes every once in a while just to kind of see how it's going and see the new ideas. But we definitely do think of new ideas every time too. So.
Well, I want to thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank
If
you
you
so much.
If you would like to pop your contact information, anyone present could contact or reach out to you for additional information. And just a reminder, this will be, the recording will be posted probably sometime next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome.
I'm going to stop the recording, but I want to thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys so much.